Please turn tassels. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very proud to present to you the graduating class of 2022.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. My name is Chris Riley. I'm the Public Engagement Information Manager for the Victor Valley Union High School District. And what you just watched there was the first commencement ceremony for Victor Valley Virtual Academy, which is our all-online school in the Victor Valley Union High School District. So tonight we're going to be talking about Victor Valley Virtual Academy and talking about some exciting changes that are coming to that school this coming school year. So whether you're interested in attending the academy or if you already are attending the academy, either way, this is going to be an informative presentation for all of you. So let's go ahead and start off by introducing our panel tonight. I'm going to start with our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services for the Victor Valley Union High School District, and that's Dr. Ramoni Yee. How are you doing, Dr. Yee?
Hi there, Mr. Riley. Welcome, family. So good to have you this evening, and we hope that we are able to answer some of your questions and really share some of the exciting things that we have in store for the Virtual Academy for next year. So welcome, everyone.
Okay, and we have a couple of other district personnel with us as well, but before that, I'm going to introduce the principal of Victor Valley Virtual Academy, and that is Mr. Kevin Lloyd. How are you doing, Mr. Lloyd?
Good and self, and welcome everyone. Good to see you.
All right. And we have our director of LCAP and various other things for the Victor Valley Union High School District and our Educational Services Department. And that is Ms. Christine Foote. How are you doing, Christine Foote?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Riley. I'm so glad to be here. I'm ready to help support Mr. Lloyd or Dr. Yee with any questions that we may have for our community tonight.
And we have another longtime employee of our district, and she is actually the coordinator for English learners in our district, and that is Ms. Maura Balmaceda. How are you doing, Maura?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing well. I hope my internet lagging is not too much of a distraction. So welcome, everybody. Bienvenidos a los padres de familia que hablan español. Estamos aquí para contestar cualquier pregunta. Gracias.
Thank you. And so as you just heard, Ms. Balmaceda, of course, is a fluent Spanish speaker and can help us out for those of you who may have preguntas en español. And she will probably type a little something in the chat for you there as well. And hello, Nicole Godfrey. She says, good to see you all. It's good to see you too, Nicole. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we have a presentation that we are going to do. And I believe Mr. Lloyd is going to do the honors with that. So let's hand it over to the man of the hour, Mr. Kevin Lloyd.
Thank you, Chris. And thank everyone for being here. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about the new our transition into our new virtual program for next year. And at the end of the short presentation, we'll allow you to we'll field any questions that you may have or that was not answered during the presentation today. So just to give you a little history of the virtual school, this the idea came about pre-pandemic. Just to provide an alternative setting for that student that actually was college bound, that preferred not to be in a traditional school and actually did not want to deal with the distractions that comes with a regular school. Now, the idea behind the virtual academy is that it was going to be a traditional school just without the brick and mortar building. And so we started out with one teacher and roughly about 60 students. In this past year, we transitioned into a 6-period day where students actually have a credentialed core teacher in each of their subject areas. And I also commend the students that are actually currently in the program because they've had to deal with that transition from meeting with their teacher twice a week to actually attending classes from 8 o'clock to 2:46 and actually staying in class all day long. So I do commend them for sticking to it and actually bearing with us during this change. Okay, so next slide. So what is a virtual school? The definition of a virtual school is it teaches students entirely online through the internet. It has been defined as education that uses one or more technologies to deliver the instruction to students who are separated from the instructor. Now, and that's, so what's happening now, we currently have a 6-period day where there's a credentialed teacher in English, there's a credentialed teacher in math, there's a credentialed teacher in science and social studies. So that student follows a particular school day, just like he would at the normal school. There's a 6-minute passing period between classes. And he also has a lunch break in that from 12:06 to 12:36 every single day. So we try to model it just like a traditional school. The thing is that you're just not sitting in a classroom. Okay. Next slide. Now, we have support systems in place currently, and we're going to continue with those into the fall when the new school year starts. Like I said, what we'll offer is personalized feedback. So they should be individualized and learning plans. We have a counselor that's been hired, that's been dedicated specifically for the students of the Virtual Academy. So we wouldn't have to share a counselor with another school program. So that person is dedicated just for our virtual students. Now, we also have online SEL support, social emotional supports. We just hired a mental health clinician about a week ago. So she has started, so she's in the process now of formulating plans to actually offer therapy and actually scheduling times where she can actually meet with students. And our counseling supports and after-school tutoring, we do offer after-school tutoring. And again, we have a counselor that's dedicated solely to the Virtual Academy. So that person is actually setting up tutoring for us after school and whatever supports our students actually would need. Now, our flexibility is scheduling time with teacher or counselor. It should be easy for our students because it's online. So anytime they need to meet with a teacher after school or before school, it's a little bit easier to meet through a Zoom meeting than trying to find a person's office. So we will offer those to our students. Now, we do have opportunities to pursue CTE pathways. We're in the process now of actually creating those pathways for our students, and shortly they should be up running shortly, and those students should be able to choose the classes that want to take for that particular career. Next slide. Now, some of the expectations for our students are that they should be able to work in a non-traditional school setting. So they're not going to be in a classroom with a student, even though it's going to look like a classroom setting. Every teacher has set up a Google Classroom where the student has to attend, and the other students are in there with them also. Now, the change from this year that we're going next year is that they will have to have their cameras on because we're going to direct instruction for the students. So they would have to interact with those teachers. So it's going to be required that they actually have their cameras on. So they should be tech savvy. It's an online setting, so they should be able to navigate their way through a computer or a Chromebook, which is what we offer to the students, and monitor their own progress with a good support structure at home. That's going to be important also that because it's not a traditional setting, so they need to have that strong parental support or whoever it is that guardian support that's going to help them be successful. And the thing is that they need to remain motivated and confident to keep up with the work and identify the challenges need to challenge themselves with college studies or other unique courses. Now, one thing that they'll benefit from is that the reduced interruptions found in a traditional setting, such as bells ringing or constant announcements that are being announced during the day. And they should have a quiet and controlled environment with family support. Next slide.
Sorry, give me just a moment. There we go.
Okay. Now, virtual school requirements for graduation are the same as the comprehensive high schools in the district. They still have to have 220 credits to graduate. All the courses in the virtual program A through G approved. This year, we used a platform called Excellus for our curriculum, but we are going to district-issued textbooks next year, which we are in the process of arranging dates for the students to come in and actually check out their textbooks. So we will be following the district's pacing guides, the district lesson plans for our particulars, every subject area this coming school year. So they should be able to work with, we're going to require that they work with the teacher and the counselor who will serve as a mentor and guide the students through their course completion and make sure they're on track for graduation. Now, they should be responsible and accountable for scheduling meetings with the teacher. They're the first to know that they have issues, or if they need a class change, or they need to have some other kind of assistance there. So it's going to be their responsibility to participate in scheduling those things for themselves. Now, if needed, they'll be allowed to attend tutoring, any after-school credit remediation, and summer school if it's needed. Next slide.
Before we move on, Mr. Lloyd, we did have I believe a Ms. Reyes here asking if we're only giving the meeting in English. So maybe we could have Ms. Balmaceda, and I know it's kind of a tall order at this point because we're a few slides in, but maybe she could kind of
slow down.
Yeah, maybe she can kind of summarize where we're at so far in this presentation before we move on.
Okay.
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot. No,
Sorry.
Anteriormente el director estaba hablando acerca de los servicios que se les puede ofrecer a los estudiantes de esta nueva escuela. Este es el segundo año y estaba hablando acerca de los requisitos o cómo la escuela se va a manejar. And to be honest with you, I kind of missed it. If you want to go back, I can just kind of glance them real quick so I can repeat
certainly,
it.
yes, certainly. We can go back a couple of slides here. I think we kind of already got this, right?
Not that one.
Right.
Okay.
That one. Ok, él estaba hablando de los servicios de apoyo para los estudiantes, como consejería, cómo los estudiantes pueden tener tutoría después de escuela, la flexibilidad de los horarios con que van a trabajar con los estudiantes y los consejeros y oportunidades de tener ciertas clases que son similares a las clases que van a tener en las escuelas regulares, pero no necesariamente todas, porque obviamente es una escuela un poquito más pequeña. Ok, we can move on to the next slide. Las expectativas de los estudiantes que pueden participar en esta escuela es similar a una escuela tradicional. La diferencia es que los estudiantes van a estar en casa y estarán en la computadora en vez de ir a clases, pero los horarios son igual de 8:30 de la mañana a 3:16 de la tarde. Se espera que los estudiantes sepan algo de tecnología, pues todo lo van a hacer en la computadora, que sean motivados, que tengan confianza en ellos mismos en poder hacer el trabajo, que puedan trabajar con pocas interrupciones en la casa y que tengan un ambiente hogareño donde ellos puedan aprender y que esté controlado ese ambiente para que ellos puedan tener acceso al material. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Okay. And then did we already cover this pretty much?
Kevin, did you cover this one?
Yeah,
Yes, I did.
Ok, entonces en esta estaba hablando acerca de los requisitos para graduarse de los estudiantes de la escuela virtual. Serían exactamente los mismos que los estudiantes necesitarían en una escuela regular, que serían 220 créditos. Y los cursos que se ofrecen en la escuela virtual igualmente están aprobados. Todos los maestros y los consejeros tienen ciertos chicos en sus listas, supongamos, ¿no? Donde tienen que trabajar con ellos, que son los maestros y los consejeros responsables para asegurarse que los niños estén inscritos en las clases apropiadas, trabajando con los estudiantes, y los estudiantes tienen acceso a tutoría después de escuela o a cursos de remediación, o sea, de apoyo que se les asigne dependiendo de las necesidades que tengan.
Okay, so this brings us to where we were in the presentation. So this is Mr. Lloyd's next slide. And so when we get to the end of this one, Mr. Lloyd, just give us a quick pause. We'll let Mauder come in and do a little translation.
Okay. And curriculum and assessments. Now, again, it's a virtual program and we're serving grades 7 through 12, and all high school courses will be A through D approved, and the CTE pathways will be offered. We're in the process of actually creating those for our students already. Now, it is 220 credits to graduate from high school. and students will be required to participate in all state and local testing. Currently, what we do remote testing. So there may be sometimes that the student may be required to actually attend the testing session on campus, but currently we're actually doing remote testing. Now, the students will be scheduled into a 7-period day, 5 days a week, and final course offerings are subject to change depending on the enrollment in the program. And again, we will be using district adopted textbooks and curriculum. The course syllabus and learning objectives will be met as described in the district's pacing guides.
Okay, and Ms. Balmaceda?
Geez, Mr. Lloyd, I didn't see none of that stuff on the slide. Ok. El señor Lloyd, que es el director de la escuela virtual, está hablando acerca de los requisitos de los estudiantes de completar 220 créditos para poder recibir su diploma. Para la escuela virtual están los grados desde el grado 7 hasta el grado 12 y todos los cursos que se ofrecen están aprobados. También hay uno que le llamamos CT Pathway y este camino es para todos los estudiantes que tengan una cierta interés en la tecnología y otras cosas, ¿verdad? Todos los estudiantes que vayan a la escuela virtual también están requeridos que tomen los exámenes locales y del estado. Algunos exámenes serán por computadora, lo pueden hacer en casa, pero tal vez sea necesario pedirles que vengan a la escuela a hacerlo. Los estudiantes tienen todos un horario del periodo de 7 periodos y los cursos que se ofrecerán dependiendo del número de estudiantes que tengamos en las escuelas. Y todos los estudiantes tendrán cursos que sean adoptados por el distrito donde tienen objetivos y metas por cada curso.
Okay, let's move on to our next slide here. Bell schedule. Mr. Lloyd.
Okay, and what you have here is a picture of the bell schedule for the 2022-2023 school year. As you see there, school starts at 8:30. School will end at 3:16 next year. And there's a copy of the collaboration day, which we will continue with next year, and the minimum days for next year also.
Yeah, and this is something I think worth emphasizing just a little bit that, you know, this is a very regular bell schedule like you would see at a traditional high school. You quote unquote go to school.
It's the same bell schedule as the other comprehensive high schools in the district. And again, we are a traditional school. We just don't have the brick and mortar building.
Right. And this is something that is and we've already talked about it, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it. Dr. Yee, I think we'll talk about it a little bit, but this is one of the directions that we're going with the virtual school and making it a bit more like a traditional high school, except you don't actually go there. So, Ms. Balmaceda, if you can summarize that for us a little bit.
Ok, este es el horario para los estudiantes del año próximo, que son del periodo 1 al periodo 7. Las clases comienzan a las 8:30 y terminan a las 3:16, de la misma forma que en otras escuelas del distrito. Los estudiantes esperan que estén en clases a las mismas horas, de 8:30 de la mañana hasta las 3:16 de la tarde, y sigan el horario asignado, de la misma forma que si estuvieran en un salón de clase en una escuela, pero en casa. También está incluido los horarios de los días cortos y todo eso. Y pues si tiene alguna pregunta, pónganla en el chat y le contestamos.
Okay, and moving on to our next slide.
Okay, and student schedules. Students who are going to have to work with their counselor to select the courses they're required for graduation, which is the 220 credits. Currently, for the high schools, they are actually going into actually selecting their courses and putting in their course requests for the classes at this time. They'll also be able to select their electives based on their interests and what type of CTE pathways that are actually created for our students. And they should be checking in with the teacher or the counselor each semester to make sure they're on track, sure they're not missing any classes, sure they're actually taking the classes that they actually need that goes along with their academic plan. And so they will be able to participate in academic and extracurricular activities. The plan is to partner with one of the other school sites to actually allow the students to attend anything like their proms, their spring formals, the senior picnics, the senior trips. So we are in the process now of actually partnering with one of the other school sites to actually make that available to our students.
Okay, Ms. Balmaceda.
Ok, pues él está hablando de los horarios y las oportunidades que tienen los estudiantes. Por el momento, los estudiantes que ya están inscritos o los que se van a inscribir pueden seleccionar los cursos o las clases que quieran tomar el año próximo, que estén disponibles en la escuela virtual. Recordándoles que los estudiantes para graduarse de la escuela virtual también necesitan 220 créditos. De acuerdo a las clases selectivas que los estudiantes puedan recibir, serían basadas en el interés del estudiante, pero también son un poco limitadas por el número de estudiantes que tenemos. Se recomienda que los estudiantes hablen con sus maestros y con su consejero cada semestre para asegurarse que están a tiempo de graduarse, igual como si estuvieran en una escuela regular. Y que encuentren clases académicas o cosas extracurriculares que les interesen. En el momento, el director está tratando de hacer un trato con otra de las escuelas, y creo que es una de las mismas de él, donde los estudiantes puedan participar en actividades como bailes o cualquier otro evento que las escuelas pongan juntas, como si estuviera una clase, cualquier otra escuela.
Okay. Now let's move on. Mr. Lloyd.
Okay, how do I enroll my child? So if you look, there's a if you go to the district website, we will follow the same steps as the comprehensive schools follow as far as registration. We will do our registrations online. And so there are quick links. If you actually look into the district's website, you'll find the registration process there.
You know, and I just thought about this. We actually created also a direct landing page that you can go to for central enrollment, and that's vvuhsd.org/enroll, ENROLL, and I'll put that up on the screen as well. Ms. Balmaceda, if you can translate for us.
Ok, dice aquí, ¿qué puedo hacer para inscribir a mi estudiante? Si su estudiante ya está inscrito en el distrito de Victor Valley, no tiene que hacer nada. Si ya está inscrito en la escuela virtual, no tiene que hacer nada. Si su estudiante está inscrito no está inscrito en el distrito de Victor Valley, sería bastante importante que inscribiera a su estudiante inmediatamente o lo más pronto posible, antes del 15 de junio, para poder tener acceso a inscribirse en la escuela virtual. Ahora, ¿cómo se puede inscribir? Yendo a la página del distrito, y en la computadora ahorita pueden mirar que hay lo que le llaman Quick Links. Ahí se puede apachurrar el enlace y pueden inscribirlos por medio de ese enlace.
Okay, and then just throwing this up there really quickly. So you have really three different ways a couple different ways you can get at this. One would be just to go to that page that you see there, and go to this little quick link thing with the red arrows there. And then the other, you can go directly to vvuhsd.org/enroll. Okay, moving on to our next one, Mr. Lloyd.
Okay, and some important information. Applications are due on or before June 15th of 2022. On Friday, May 13th, a letter went out, a parent letter went out, and in that letter was a link to the application. So those just need to be filled out and sent to us. Now, it's very important that those applications be filled out as early as possible. And you'll be notified by July 18th if you're actually accepted to the Virtual Academy. So those students that are currently enrolled in the Virtual Academy, you don't have to redo an application. You will, if your intent is to stay in the virtual program for next year, you will be automatically rolled over into the new school year. But if you're a new student coming from outside the district or from one of the other school sites, it's important that you get that application done before June 15th and emailed over to myself or Mr. Joe Williams, who will be the assistant principal. Okay. Now, as far as enrollments, leaving the campus we actually will do that quarterly. So there's 4 quarters in the school year, 2 per semester. So if the program isn't working, we'll look, and no interventions aren't working at that point, we can talk about other options for the students at the quarter for each semester. Now, any students that require special services like special education, IEPs or English learners, that process, we will follow the application process. Now, the difference is that we do consult with Ms. Balmaceda, who's the EL coordinator, and Dr. Margaret Akanusi, who's the director of special education. We do follow their lead. We go by their recommendation that if that child is a fit for the virtual program, we will enroll them at that time.
Okay, and I did want to say that, we already have a couple of questions in the chat, which is fantastic. We are getting closer to the end. We're closer to the end than the beginning of the presentation, so don't worry, just sit tight. We are going to answer all the questions in the order we get them, and if you have a question, type it in the chat now, and then as soon as we're done, we'll start answering these questions rapid fire. You do want to get it in as soon as possible so we have a chance to answer it before we wrap the whole thing up. And Ms. Balmaceda, if you can translate this last portion for us, please.
Ok, una información importante es que las aplicaciones tienen que entregarse y hacer la inscripción antes del 15 de junio o para el 15 de junio o antes. So es preferible que, como les decía, pues que lo hagamos antes. Por los estudiantes que van a aceptar en el programa o en la escuela virtual se notificarán para antes del 18 de julio. Los estudiantes que se transfieran con nosotros a la escuela virtual para salirse o regresarse a una escuela tradicional necesitan esperarse a que se termine el primer cuarto del año. El año está dividido en 4 partes, entonces tendrían que esperarse a que se termine ese primer cuarto si es que quieren regresarse a la escuela regular. Los estudiantes que quieran entrar a la escuela virtual, pero estén recibiendo servicios especiales, como son estudiantes de educación especial o son estudiantes aprendices de inglés, vamos a pasar por un proceso de aplicación y mirar y asegurarnos y aprobar a los estudiantes que pensamos que van a poder tener éxito en el programa o decirles que posiblemente ese no es el mejor lugar para ellos académicamente. Pero si tienen preguntas, póngalas en el chat y las vamos a contestar a cómo sigamos la información. Vamos a terminar lo que tenemos en el PowerPoint y luego vamos a empezar a contestar las preguntas del chat. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, next slide. Okay, so also if you need any additional info, my email address is there, and also Mr. Joe Williams, who's the assistant principal. Also, if you need be with the applications, if you need to fax them over to me, the school's fax numbers are 760-843-7384, or you can call the school if you need me information at 760-955-3440, and the extension is 33102.
Okay. And then I think this information is fairly self-explanatory, but Ms. Balmaceda, did you want to say anything else en español about this?
Ok, si tienen alguna pregunta y quieren contactar a alguien, obviamente pueden contactar al director o al asistente de director de la escuela. Los correos electrónicos están en la computadora ahorita o en la pantalla. También pueden mandar las aplicaciones por medio de fax. El número de teléfono está en la pantalla, que es el 760-843-7384, o pueden llamar a la escuela para información. Desafortunadamente, las personas en esos números de teléfono solo hablan inglés.
Okay, that brings us to the end. Mr. Lloyd, is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I'm ready for questions.
Okay, and before we get to those, Dr. Yee, did you want to chime in at all before we get to the questions?
Yes, I just wanted to, first of all, thank you, Mr. Lloyd. Just remind our families to, as we are looking at kind of revamping the way that the virtual school is going to be for next year, we understand that some students will be more successful in the virtual setting. So the criteria for applying for the virtual academy, for this year, for this upcoming year, grades, discipline, or attendance will not necessarily be a factor. However, in order for students to stay and maintain their status in the virtual school, they will have to maintain good attendance and discipline, and also good grades. So I just want to let our parents know that. And thank you for giving us lots of grace and patience, because we haven't done this before. So as we are revamping our virtual academy. We thank you for your understanding on that process. Also, too, when we're looking at offerings, curriculum, and so forth, like Mr. Lloyd said, we will be using the same curriculum that we use in our other schools. However, there may not be as many course offerings as you will see in the middle school or the high school in-person program. So if your students are in AVID or advanced placement classes or in dual enrollment and things like that, they probably will not have the same opportunity in a virtual setting because it is so much smaller and we're not able to offer that wide of a course. So I wanted to also have make sure parents are aware of that as well. Maura, would you go ahead and translate that for me?
I just said it's way too much to go back to.
Well,
But,
and my mic was muted, but I was going to say, I was trying to compliment you a couple slides ago because not only did you do everything on the slide, but then there was the stuff I said after the slide, and you got that too. So it's like a steel trap there, Maura. You're doing great. So
I don't know about all that, but la doctora Yi quiere darle las gracias por estar presentes, por ayudarnos a compartir, estar aquí compartiendo con nosotros, pero también por tener paciencia con nosotros, porque ese es un proceso nuevo, tanto para nosotros como para los estudiantes, ¿no? También quiere recordarles que a pesar de que vamos a tratar de darles y ofrecerles a sus estudiantes los mismos cursos, que el mismo rigor que está en las clases regulares, en la escuela regular donde pueden ir los niños, va a haber ocasiones donde no vamos a poder ofrecerles las mismas clases debido a que los números de estudiantes posiblemente no nos lo permita. Pero vamos a tratar de ayudarles a sus estudiantes lo más posible y les agradecemos mucho su tiempo y la oportunidad de que sus estudiantes puedan participar en la escuela virtual.
And we do want to just say that although I'm sure Ms. Balmaceda has a beautiful home, I don't think she has a baby grand piano. We pay our employees well in the district. We don't pay them quite that well, but it's looking great. Looking great. So let's go ahead and move on. Ms. Foote, was there anything you wanted to add before we just jump into these questions here?
No, I'll just follow along if there's something that I need to answer, and I am in the live stream on another device, and I will try to possibly maybe post the links to the application in there so parents can get directly to the application based on that letter that we sent out earlier this week. So I can kind of do some behind the scenes work.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So we do have quite a few questions. Tenemos muchas preguntas. So we are going to get into these right now. We'll start off with Nicole. She says, Mr. Lloyd, how do you check your credits?
Actually, Nicole, just give me, when I get into work tomorrow, I'll send you out an email. I will have the counselor do a grad check for me, and we'll find out exactly where you are, okay? And that actually includes, I'll go into Excel and find out where you are there also. So I will email it to you tomorrow morning.
Okay, and this is...
She's a current student here already, so I already know her, and I can actually go...
Oh, okay. We know Nicole. Okay, good. So we have Mary Schwab, and she says, will the tests be done in person?
Okay, our state testing and our will be done remotely, and so will our district assessments. That's the process that we're currently using. Like I said earlier, there may be times that we have to bring students in personally, physically to actually test, but we would like to keep to the virtual setting and actually have our testing done virtually also.
Okay, and then
now,
we have...
when it comes to classroom testing, that's actually going to be done inside the classroom with their particular teacher.
Okay. And now we have a Ms. De Leon who says, will they meet periodically with teacher or counselor in person? She asked the same question in Spanish, so I think that's a clue that we want to translate this one as well. So, Mr. Lloyd, do you want to take that one?
Okay. Yeah. Now, remember, we talked earlier about the schedule. The students have a bell schedule from 8:30 to 3:16, so they have a class every single period. Now, what can happen is that we are in the process of trying to set up meeting hours where if they need to meet with a counselor, since they're not physically on site with the counselor, we will continue with the meetings. We'll set up a classroom or Zoom meeting so that that student can actually meet with the counselor if they have questions. Same thing with after hours. If there's a question for the teacher, they should be able to communicate with each other through email, or we set up Zoom meetings for those.
Okay. And Maura?
La pregunta fue que si los estudiantes se reunirán con los maestros o con los consejeros periódicamente. Pues la respuesta es que los estudiantes tienen clases regulares de 8:30 de la mañana hasta 3:16 de la tarde, donde se reúnen con los maestros todos los días. Ahora, como los estudiantes tienen que estar en la escuela, a esas horas se está tratando de buscar una forma de poder comunicarse con los estudiantes y que los estudiantes se reúnan con los consejeros por medio de una forma virtual.
Okay, and so Darla here asks, what is the school name? That's an easy one, Victor Valley Virtual Academy, and I will go ahead and put that up on the screen. And she's saying that she's trying to transfer her son from Victor Valley High School to the Virtual Academy. So who wants to talk about that process of changing from Victor Valley High to the Virtual Academy? I know we kind of covered it generally, but if we can talk a little bit more about that.
So currently, like I said, if he's already enrolled at one of the other high schools, the process is to actually fill out the application. And so once that gets to us, again, they're due by June 15th. And so we can actually evaluate all of them and actually get the approvals done and notify students when that they're approved for the program. So I think she put did you put a link to the application in the chat room, Ms. Foote?
I tried, but it doesn't let me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, like you can't put a live link in there?
No, it wouldn't let me put a live link in. I tried.
Well, I tell you what, if my email address is in there, if you just email me tomorrow, I can email the link to you and you can actually get it filled out. So again, like I said earlier, it's going to be important that you get it done quickly because we do have a cap, and we'll create a waiting list for those students that don't get in the program right away. So please have that done. So if you can't get access to it from the letter that went out on Friday, just send me an email and I'll send it over to you.
Okay, we have another enrollment question here from Mary Schwab. I may have missed this when you were talking about the enrollment. I filled out papers for my child's current school for Virtual Academy. Will I still need to do the enrollment online as well?
Are they currently enrolled into the virtual school?
Yeah, that we don't know. So maybe Mary can shed some more light on this.
So if they're currently enrolled in the virtual school, they don't have to repeat an application. They will just automatically roll over into the new school year.
Yeah. And then Christine was providing some information here in the chat that you'll need to enroll in the district if you're new to the district. So in other words, if you are coming from, say, the Adelanto Elementary School District, or if you're coming from Apple Valley High School, or any number of other places that aren't in the Victor Valley Union High School District, you'll need to enroll in the district. And then you enroll and are assigned your home school, which is the school for the area that you're in. And then you fill out a specific application for Victor Valley Virtual Academy. And I don't know if we want to expand on that anymore, but that's the process in a nutshell. Laura says, gracias por toda la información. Thank you for the information and translations for the parents. You're welcome. De nada. And thank you, Ms. Balmaceda, for all of your work for us tonight. Nicole was thanking us. Oh, and Nicole has a big question that we can answer. Are we still going to be using Excelis?
Okay. Excelis will be used as a supplement. So throughout the year, we took the time to actually hire a credentialed teacher in all the core subject areas. Currently, we have 2 for each subject: math, science, social studies, and we have a foreign language teacher also. So if they want to use that as a supplement, but again, what we're going to be following is the district guidelines, the district pacing guide. They will be issued district textbooks. So Excelis will be used simply as a supplement for the teachers.
Okay. Darla, does the student have to check in person once a week?
Okay, no, it's not an independent study program. Again, if you did one of the earlier slides, we showed you the bell schedule. So at 8:30 in the morning, he should be in his first period class. And at 3:16 in the evening, he should be in his seventh period class. So it's not an independent study program where they have to check in once a week. They check in with their teachers every single day, every period.
Yeah, and we mentioned this a little bit in the morning meeting. This is an entirely different high school called Goodwill High School that offers an independent study program. And as I said this morning, we just so happen to have the principal of Goodwill High School with us. That's Kevin Lloyd. He's the principal of both of these schools, actually. But Goodwill has a specific independent study program, but that's a whole other school that you'd have to enroll in. The idea of the virtual school is that it is non-independent study. You're going to school, you're just doing it on your computer. That's kind of the direction we're going with the virtual academy this year. So moving on to Cindy. What's the estimated number of students to utilize Victor Valley Virtual Academy, and how many expected credits will a student be completing?
Okay. The enrollment is going to depend on staff, which is what we're looking at currently at this point, working with Dr. Yee and HR and fiscal services. Now, last year, well, this current year, I think we topped out at about 320 students in the program. So we've had graduates. So I think we're down to about 250 students at this point. Now, again, it is a traditional school. So the credit requirements for graduation are 220 credits. Typically, a student gets 60 credits per year. So they would be expected to get the same amount of credits as the comprehensive schools also.
Mr. Lloyd, can I add also something? In the virtual academy, what we decided to do this year was actually make it a 7-period day. And that way, students will have more opportunities to get more credit during the year. So traditionally, if they were at Silverado or Adelanto or Victor Valley High School, those are only 6-period classes. So therefore, they can have 30 credits a semester or 60 credits for a year. And the virtual academy, we made it 7 periods, so they can have 35 credits each semester for 70 credits a year. So potentially students will be able to finish their courses just a little bit faster, or if they needed to make up a failing grade or maybe better their D, they have more opportunity to do that. So we made that change just for that reason.
Okay, thank you. And Mary shed a little more light on her questions. She said the students in Victor Valley, they're trying to transfer her to virtual. Her school sent home the application. So where does she go from there?
Okay, again, if she's filled out the application, she can email it to me or Mr. Williams. The school's fax line is fax numbers on there, so you can fax it over to us. Or if she feels so inclined, she can actually drop it off at the school.
Hey, look, I got a shout out. I'm just kidding. So, all right.
Mhm.
So do we have any more questions? I don't see any that we haven't addressed. If the
Mr.
rest of the
Riley?
panel sees something that I didn't see, please let me know. Go ahead, Dr. Yee.
Probably just if we can ask Mrs. Balmaceda to go ahead and maybe translate some of the things that we just covered, just for our few of our parents that might need that.
Every single word, right? Right?
Every single word.
If you can just broadly summarize. What do you say? En resumen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys are pushing it. No, just kidding. Una de las cosas que hablaron preguntaron acerca de cómo la inscripción otra vez en la escuela, cómo podían entregar la aplicación, cuántos créditos se requerían, y son cosas que hablamos anteriormente que tal vez la otra persona se le pasó, pero necesitan 220 créditos aún para graduarse en la escuela virtual. Tienen que estar en sus clases de 8:30 a 3:16 de la tarde, es lo mismo. Van a mirar a sus maestros todos los días. Y a pesar de que es una escuela virtual, los requisitos siguen siendo 220 como una escuela cualquier otra. La diferencia es que como la escuela va a tener 7 periodos en vez de 6, los estudiantes van a tener más oportunidades de poder recibir créditos adicionales que si estuvieran, por ejemplo, en la escuela Victor High School o Adelanto o Silverado. En las escuelas como esas otras, recibirían solamente 30 créditos por semestre, pero como esta escuela va a tener 7 periodos al día, entonces van a tener la oportunidad de recibir 35 por semestre, terminando mucho más rápido también.
Okay, gracias. And so, Mary, since we have the kind of an ongoing saga here, says Victor Valley had me return it to them. So I don't know. Is there something? How can we move forward? Can we maybe Mary can get in contact with us? Or we can contact her, or
well, why don't she actually email me her child's name, and what I'll do is I'll call down to Victor High tomorrow and get the copy from them.
And then Christine said in the chat that they will scan it and email it over to Mr. Lloyd and the school secretary, Ms. Parker.
Yes, normally when we receive an application at a school site, they scan it, they email it over to Ms. Parker and Mr. Lloyd, and then they turn around and they review the application. And most of the school sites understand this is the process. So very few get lost in the process. Everybody understands it goes directly to Mr. Lloyd and Ms. Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Darla is saying the same thing happened with the application. Mary says, thank you. So, yes, so the process, we understand there's some steps to it. And as Ms. Foote said, there is a process that hopefully your school site understands. But if there are some hiccups in the process, then we can reach out to us, reach out to Mr. Lloyd, and we can make sure it goes smoothly.
I think Darla had a question too. Yes, you could actually just email his name, and I'll double check and make sure I actually get it.
All right, Kevin is taking on some extra duties here. That's good. He's also your enrollment man. He's your enrollment czar as well. So.
No. I think Chris is the one who got frozen this time.
Yeah, he did.
Ok, en español, una de las cosas que algunos de los padres de familia mencionaron es que les han pedido que regresen las aplicaciones a las escuelas. Y lo que nosotros le estamos pidiendo
I don't see any more.
Es que entreguen las aplicaciones directamente al señor Lloyd o a la escuela que puedan traer la aplicación a la escuela. Sorry, Chris, I think you had frozen.
I'm going to text him right now.
Hey, Chris, could you go back to the slide where it had my email address? So I know Christine said they can't post the email addresses in the chat. So if you could just show it to them so they can write it down, and they can actually send me their child's name, and I'll actually check in with the school tomorrow.
He's trying to figure out, he knows he's frozen, so.
Right, okay.
All right, I think that means we're going to go ahead and take over, and I'd be happy to facilitate, because hey,
poor Mr. Riley.
Be flexible. We know how to pivot. We are all good. All right, so I don't see any more questions in the chat. We're just really excited. I think that, just envisioning kind of what we want the virtual school to look like for next year, I think is really exciting. I want to encourage families. I know that being part of your children's education is very important to you and to us. And because the Virtual Academy is a regular school just online, it does require us to have parent engagement, parents to sit on their school site council, parents of English language learners to be able to sit on the ELAC committee. So all of that, Mr. Lloyd's really going to need some of your help. So in your spare time, because I know we have tons of spare time. We don't actually. If you can find it, time to be a part of the Virtual Academy, either school site council or English language advisory, that would be amazing. We would love to have you and your voice. So please consider that. If you're interested, Mr. Lloyd will be more than happy to have you. And I think Mr. Riley is here, and he's going to put Mr. Lloyd's email address right there.
So I'm
Yay,
so
welcome back, Mr. Riley.
I'm so sorry, guys. And you know what? I had reservations about doing this from home, but my internet, according to the speed test, was blazing fast, and apparently not fast enough. So
Only until you need it.
only until you need it, right? So I apologize for that, but we want to put Mr. Lloyd's email address up here. I can do that, no problem. Let's put up the last slide from the presentation that has all the contact info. So there's Mr. Lloyd's email, there's Assistant Principal Joe Williams' email, there's the fax number where you can send documents, and then there's the school phone number as well. Okay, did I miss any questions?
No.
There was one
Okay.
from Nicole, but she offered to put the info in the chat room. But thank you, Nicole. It's up there now.
Thanks, Nicole. She's a team player. We appreciate that. Okay. Okay. We do have a question from Toby Sanchez. Let me bring that up. Will psychology and AP classes be available? My child wants to know what classes are available before registering.
And if Dr. Yee can help me, I know we're in the process of actually creating our master schedule to see what we can offer our students at this point. So now I think that's going to be more conversations with Dr. Yee and I to see what AP classes we can offer, or if there's any honors classes we can offer.
Absolutely, Mr. Lloyd, thank you. We have been talking about that. We're going to try our best to offer a few AP classes. It really depends on the teachers that we hire and the teacher that currently teaches and their credential and what they, can and cannot teach. But it's going to be very, very limited. So I don't want to get our students' hopes up there. So it's going to be very, very limited offerings. I doubt that we will be offering a psychology. Again, maybe English Lit or English Lang, something like that, but it's going to be very limited.
Okay. I don't see any new ones in here. We're getting towards the end of the hour here. So if there are any questions out there, this is your last chance. Going once, going twice. We'll just kind of start going around the round table here. Dr. Yee, anything you'd like to say in closing?
No, just thanking our families. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope we were able to answer some of your questions. We are always available, so feel free to give Mr. Lloyd or Mr. Joe Williams, the assistant principal, a call or an email if you have any further questions. But we are absolutely all here for you. And thank you again for being with us this evening.
Okay, Mr. Lloyd.
Yeah, again, I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and I'm actually looking forward to the changes we're making to the program for next year. Hopefully it's going to be a great year. And again, if anyone needs me, there's my email address and the extension to reach me at the campus.
Okay, and then there's a question here that says, if she registers and finds out a class will not be available, can she stay on campus? Well, so I think the question is, can she stay at a traditional school if once she registers for the online school, she finds out the classes she wants are not there? Well, I'm guessing the short answer here is that it's not like you can just kind of easily go right back. I mean, you have to kind of re-enroll back in at the school you were at previously. That would be my understanding, but maybe you guys would like to expand on that a little bit more.
And we did talk about quarterly. So if it's not something that's actually a good fit for her, she's not getting the classes she needed. So we are looking at the quarters, allowing the students to transfer back to the comprehensive schools.
Got you. Okay.
We should actually have a good idea in the next few weeks of what we can offer, because right now we're building our master schedule and doing a course request so that students can choose their classes based on what's offered. So you will know what's going to be offered for next year fairly soon. And then you can make your decision as far as whether the virtual academy is for you or not. And as long as you, do it during the summertime, you are always entitled to go back to your home school So that shouldn't be a problem at all. However, once you're in the virtual academy, we ask that students do stay and actually be able to leave at like at the quarter when it makes more sense, because then the transfer grades and all of that stuff will be a little bit easier. But as far as course offerings, we should know that in the next few weeks.
Okay. And just going around the table here, Ms. Foote, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, I want to say thank you to Dr. Yee and Mr. Lloyd, and thank you to Ms. Balmaceda for translating. But this really has been a labor of love. We know that the Virtual Academy is an alternative setting that is not for all students, but it is for some students. And we want to make sure that whatever we offer in Victor Valley Union High School District, that it meets the needs of every student in our community, based on what they want, based on what they enjoy, based on what will help them find their career paths in life. So we're really excited to offer this opportunity, and we want to thank everyone in the community for giving us the privilege of educating your children. We really do believe that our students are the future. So thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Balmaceda, anything you'd like to add in English and/or Spanish? Maybe you can summarize a couple of things in Spanish for the folks out there.
So I'll just say it in English for myself. I'll say thank you guys for being here with us tonight. It's really an honor to be a part of this community and being an honor of being a part of this team that really truly believes in helping and supporting our kids, no matter what the environment. So, en español, buenas tardes a todos y muchas gracias por compartir con nosotros la doctora Yee, el señor Lloyd y Christine Foote. Todos estamos en el mismo lugar y queremos agradecerles por su participación en esta reunión esta tarde y por darnos la oportunidad de compartir con ustedes nuestra visión de esta escuela virtual y enseñarles cómo nosotros estamos preparándonos para ayudarles y apoyar a sus estudiantes, que para nosotros son número uno, no importa si es la escuela virtual o es una escuela regular. Y le agradecemos mucho su tiempo. Gracias.
Okay, thank you. So what I will do to take us to the end here, the video that we played at the beginning, there was only a handful of you with us at the time. So for those of you who missed it, this is the very first graduation ceremony for Victor Valley Virtual Academy. And there was a question in our morning session, do they do an actual real graduation? And yes, they do. So you'll see in this video, there's only, I think, 14 kids that actually walked. There were more than that who graduated, but not all chose to walk. And of course, that will grow over time and we'll have more than 14. But these kids were the first. So they get to always have that distinction. And we had a nice little ceremony over there at High Desert Church. So that's going to be the last thing you will see from us. I'm just going to check this very last comment here. Mr. Lloyd, my husband emailed you. Just a heads up. His name is Santiago Barba. Okay?
I got it.
Okay. Thank you, Darla. And thank you, everyone. We're going to take off now, and we will leave you with some scenes from our commencement. Okay? Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Please turn your tassels. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very proud to present to you the graduating class of 2022.